Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited and super grateful. So we are in the Awakening series, the playlist. So one of these playlists that I have been intuitively guided to create. So, to make sure you don't miss any episodes, I'm sure you've already binged a few or you're about to binge some more. Please click subscribe and like. And if you have any questions or you have any comments or your biggest takeaway, I would love for you to share them in the comments. So, today we're talking about the ego. So, as you might have watched in the previous videos, I started to touch up on. Sorry, I'm so excited. I'm like, started to touch upon shadow work. And also, I'm like, wow, I'm really trying to keep these to 5 minutes and I have so much to share. And I'm like, oh, you're not really getting any like stories. Usually, I love going into stories and really painting the picture. And that's something I really want to do more of. But I'm also like, oh, I can't do everything in 5 minutes. It's just so difficult. Um, so let's talk about the ego and why I'm. This is part of the awakening episodes, right? And I really want to share because the way these are unfolding, definitely not the way I expected. I felt like I would be sharing a lot more of my personal journey and just sharing way like so you don't feel like you're alone, right? So that's why we started with the belonging piece because I didn't want you to feel like no one gets me because I know I've been there and you go through every up level, you go through different stages. So I'm going to do another episode on that. And I really want to do an episode on vibration and frequency and personal journey and personal awakenings, but ego is a big one. So part of your journey, and if you haven't, you can watch the Facebook video because that goes through all the stages. But part of the awakening is to go through many stages. So the first stage, quickly, I'm going to rush over this because I'm cautious of time, is you're in your ego. So what is the ego? So why we're starting here? The ego is magical. There is so much in society that people shame and reject and you know me, I'm all about those parts. So the ego is really hated. And you might like, oh, really? Like, what is the ego, Dasha? Freaking tell me what it is first. So, an ego is a part of you. So, ego is all about your identity. It makes you who you are. So, it is a part of you that creates your personality. You know, the me, that's the ego. It's self-centered and self-involved and self-indulged, and it is what drives you. It is the competition. It is the heart of like, I'm going to be better than everyone, but it's also the heart of like, I'm not going to speak up because I don't want to be seen as better than everyone. I want to be seen as this goody two shoes. Look at that stuck up asshole, you know. So both of those are ego, and depends how your ego chooses to play out this lifetime, because you can be the shy little person and you can be the really loud mouth person, and you can be both those people with a integrated ego where you're leading from your heart. So ego, you're also leading from fear. It comes from, I'm scared. I'm scared I'm going to be found out. I'm scared I'm going to be found out that I'm stupid, or I'm just giving examples. There's so many ways. But like, why are you loud? Because you're overcompensating for something that you're insecure about. Unless you're coming from your heart, then you're just loud because you're expressing love, right? But before you come from your heart, you're always coming from your ego. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's the truth. You are constantly coming from your ego because that's your default mechanism. And unless you've done any self kind of work, self discovery, self development, you are run by your ego. You are run by your compensating tendency. And the thing is, like, we are born with an ego, we are born with a wound. And the ego protects that wound. And we have to be born with that wound with the ego because it creates our identity. It creates who we are. Because without the ego, it's oneness, right? And you may believe that. You may have read some books. You may be tuning into this because you're like, oh, yeah, I'm awakening. This is for me. I know I'm one, right? But then there's the second phase, there's the duality. This is why we're on earth. And without an ego, you cannot be in duality. You cannot be, you can't see yourself outside of yourself. You can't see yourself, you can't see others outside of who you are in oneness. So you need to be in duality to actually see the separation, to have motivation. And it really is a key driver. It is the key driver to getting shit done, right? To having you perform, to having you succeed, to having you be your best self. And it drives out of fear, right? Out of overcompensating. You can also be your best self out of love just by being you, right? And we're going to go more into that in these videos, also all the deep dive in my courses. So if you want to know more, jump onto the mailing list or check out the website. And again, keeping it short and sweet. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And I'm excited to be bringing you my next episode. So make sure you subscribe. And if you want to check out some other ones, feel free to do so. Thank you.